So now it's time to pull the bed off, but nobody's around, so I'm gonna have to do it by myself. Yeah, just kidding. That's totally not gonna happen. Well, not lifting it anyway, but I'll get it off by myself. So we're gonna use one of those tools that you hardly ever have a use for. It really only has one use, but when you use it, it works great. It takes a little while to set it up, but it really makes this job possible, which would otherwise be impossible by myself. Of course, because I was going to show you that sometimes you need to recenter it to position it correctly. It'll lift too far to the front or the back, side to side, so you just kind of move it around until you lift it off. It worked on the first time, which I guess I really shouldn't complain about. That's actually made for engine hoist or cherry picker. I just happen to have a forklift, so it makes it a lot easier. I can put it right out in the yard and be out of our way. I don't have to worry about carting it around with an engine hoist. Yeah, that's how you lift the bed off without any damage, all by yourself. In case you wanted some better pictures of what it looked like, it's hanging off the end of our forklift. The ends of it just detach underneath the bed rails. Then you just position it forward or backwards, depending on, you can lift it off with the bed empty and the tailgate off, or full of junk like I have this one. Probably getting a little close to the weight limit, but so you just shift it front to back and then use these to allow it to go side to side. I'll put a link down below if you're looking to buy one. It's a tool you don't use all the time, but if you do need it, you can't beat it. So we're going to take our bed off of our old frame. We're going to strip down the frame before we take it back to our storage yard. Pull the rear bumper off, basically just because I want all the bolts out of it. I'm not going to use the rear bumper, I got a used one off another truck. The bolts on the bottom of the brackets. Bolts on the sides of the brackets. That's pretty much it. That's all it takes. You do have to have the bed off to get the bumper out, or you have to lift the bed up. Now we're going to pull the exhaust off. Slide it off the rubber mounts. Now we're going to take the junction box off the frame. Junction block, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to drop the fuel tank out of it. It's full, by the way. Kind of heavy and very awkward. Now we're going to disconnect the rear end, take the brake lines off. Disconnect the ABS wires.
Disconnect the shocks. Disconnect the emergency brake cables. I'm going to take the leaf springs off. These are the front bolts. I'm going to take them all the way out, just most of the way out. And disconnect the shackles on the back. Pop those bolts out. Now our rear end is disconnected. Now we got to get rid of the frame back to our storage yard. And at the same time, we'll lift the frame off the rear end. Save a little time instead of trying to take the rear end out of it and then put it on a tow truck. The screeching sound is rocks stuck in the backing plates. The hacks that worked on this truck before had the rear end out of it, probably when they were going to try and fix the truck, and it was sitting in some mud, so it was all full of packed with mud and rocks. I know it's not on the truck straight. We'll fix that.
So we're going to put our bedside on our Silverado, and yes, it's upside down, and this is the fastest way I've found to put these bedsides on. I've tried them right way on stands, I've tried them on the truck. This way makes this job really fast. I should have the whole bedside installed in less than 2 hours. That's cutting the old one off and putting the new one on. And when I say new one, check this out. So there's our bedside in the box, brand new from GM. Cost me $468 for this bedside. Used ones were anywhere from $400 to $700. Not sure why when I can have one for $468. But I went with this one because sometimes it is cheaper to get new parts. So I feel like I need to have an unboxing because I never get to open new parts. I think the box was a good portion of the cost. Okay, that's enough acting like a little kid. Time to get some work done.
I'm gonna pull the mud flaps off. I'll pull the wheel liner off. Not sure why these things are carpeted instead of made out of plastic, but they are. The taillight harness out of our bedside. Bracket off that holds the front on. Now we're going to pull our strikers and latches off the tailgate opening. Start drilling out all our holes. Just drilling a 1/8 inch pilot hole in the center of all of our spot welds. And we'll go back over it with a 5/16. We can drill all these holes all the way through, because these right here are the only 3 that we're going to drill into our new bedside. So I can't drill all the way through here, so I'm using a flat tip drill bit. We get to use our favorite tool, get a little access to the welds that are inside there. Pretty easy to find now. Now we get our 5/16 drill bit. Once we got all those apart, we can start separating our panels. Just slide a chisel in there and break them apart. Be careful not to tear anything in case you didn't get the hole perfectly centered. Sometimes you got to work it from both sides. Sometimes you pry on it a little bit and you get them to pop off. Panel separated there. I'm just going to air chisel the big piece out of the way, so I just have a little strip there to work with. By air chiseling it, sometimes you break a lot of the welds loose. So I'll get the ones I didn't break loose. Now we're going to use the air chisel so we don't have to break anything apart. Just the vibration will knock all these welds loose. We can get right at the back of it. So that whole piece is free. There's about 12 welds we would have had to use our scraper on. Now to get the bonding agent or glue to separate, we got to heat it up. There's also some seam sealer on the inside of the bed. Instead of taking it off, we're just going to heat it up. It'll all pop right off. Put a little weight on it. Bedside is free. Now we're going to prep our new one. Put our weld through primer on there, ground everything down, and we just slide it up. We had to drill our 3 holes in the front. Other than that, everything just welds right to our new bedside. Just position it in place, move it around, and clamp it up. Now we're going to put the tailgate on, make sure it fits. It's a little more difficult when the bed's upside down. Now we can start welding it all up. After we weld all the holes up, we'll grind them all down and prime it, paint it. We'll paint it upside down on the bottom, and then we'll flip it over and we'll do the inside and the outside, right side up.
Everybody asked me why I didn't just straighten this quarter. I'm going to answer your question right now. This is what they were hiding. There's a hole ripped in it, and they screwed a piece of metal over this and bondoed it up.
Now we're going to put our used bumper on. That's why we took the bolts out of the other bumper. We put them back in. Plug in our sensors and lights. Plug in the trailer harness plug. Put our lock in for our spare tire. Make sure it stays in there. All done.
So we're all done putting our new bedside on. And sometimes it is cheaper to get the new parts. I do research all used prices, new prices, to decide what is the best, most cost-effective method to make this build work. And in this case, it happened to be the new parts. And to be clear, I did put the bonding agent back in before I put the bedside up. So all you sticklers out there, they're going to say I just welded it up. No, there was bonding agent in there. So it was put back just like the factory did. Now I'm going to turn it over to the body and paint guys, and they're going to paint it all up with the rest of the truck. And next time, we're going to put it all back together. So subscribe if you want to see this truck all back in one piece, or if you want to see some of my other builds or my tutorial videos. Like the video if you found it interesting. Share it if you think somebody else might. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.